Hi, everybody. This is Dan Stolbarger. Welcome to this week's Middle East update. It's April 3rd. We're going to look back on the events that have transpired this week. So we always start with our news bites. And as you know, we're into the Feast of Unleavened Bread right now. Passover was last night. But interesting. Oh, I should mention this PDF PowerPoint is available on the YouTube channel. You just click the link and you can have the entire PowerPoint without my head in the way, okay? So on Passover, Iran and Hezbollah carried out coordinated back-to-back attacks on Israel during what would be the Seder time, triggering sirens across large parts of the country as families gathered for the holiday meal. I've heard there were up to 50 rockets sent from Lebanon, and then I've heard it's over 100, and then I think there were 20 ballistic rockets that were sent from Iran. Doesn't matter, the whole evening sirens were blaring. Can you imagine? I just did a video for our old-fashioned Bible study, and I said, you know, it's reminiscent of what the first Passover must have felt like. Huddled up, fearful, what's going to happen, the angel of death passing over, and now we look at the world we're living in today. Well, the New York Times is making it clear that Iran is not ready at this stage to negotiate an end to the war, despite what pressure Trump is putting on them. And again, take it with a grain of salt. This is New York Times, okay? Regarding Trump's message to the nation, really to the world last night, I think the real headline after watching that would be that, Trump originally said that he thought the war would be between 4 and 6 weeks, and I think he just wanted to make it clear, might take 7 to 8 weeks. But it appears that the president doesn't want to end this until the job is done. Still with our news bites, Reverend Franklin Graham for Passover in the White House said, let's pray. Father, you tell us in the book of Esther that the Persians, that's the Iranians, as you know, were wanting to kill every Jew and do it all in one day. Today, the Iranians, the wicked regime of this government, wants to kill every Jew and destroy them with atomic fire. But you've raised up President Trump. And our prayer for this time is that President Trump, Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, would have wisdom to know how to bring all of this to an end. That God would protect our friends in Israel. I ask you to pray for them, but innocent Iranians as well. We just pray that this war could come to an end. So let's move on to our major articles. The end of NATO. Okay. Breaking news, President Trump, as only Trump could say, his word to them is that you're going to have to start learning to fight for yourself. The USA won't be there to help you anymore, just like you weren't there to help us in terms of this whole battle with Iran. We've basically done all the work. He does talk about Israel as well. Iran's essentially decimated, the hard part's done, so we don't need it. This oil from the Straits of Hormuz, you do. Why don't you just go and get it? It's time. And then he goes on to say, this is Bibi in terms of his comments to the cabinet meeting that he had. He says the United States is threatening to deal forcefully with the Strait of Hormuz. that whole issue. I hope they succeed. Iran must be stripped of this switch. And then he plants the seeds after the war. We need to bypass this by building pipelines from where? From Saudi Arabia to the Mediterranean. We are forming alliances with Arab countries that speak about joining forces with us in this current combat. And then he ends by adding that the government that is meeting with all of these so-called peace plans that are going on, Israel's making it clear that it's not, whatever happens, it will not spill over and create a ceasefire in Lebanon. That's not going to happen. That's not going to be part of the deal. And then regarding Lebanon, Defense Minister Katz, Israel Katz, says at the end of the operation, remember, boots on the ground, up to the Litani River. At the end of the operation, the IDF will take up positions in what he's calling a security zone inside of Lebanon, along the defensive lines against the anti-tank missiles, and we will maintain security control over the entire area up to the Litani, including the Litani bridges that remain, because right now Israel's in the process of taking down each one of those bridges. He goes on to say, we're determined to separate Lebanon from the Iranian arena and to change it once and for all. That's going to be a theme through here. We need to finish the job once and for all, so that all the situation in Lebanon with the IDF and all of that, we're going to be there. We guarantee safety to those that live in the north, and we will stay as long as it takes. And then he goes on, the IDF will continue to operate in Lebanon with full force against Hezbollah. Hundreds of thousands of the residents that have moved out of southern Lebanon, who was evacuated northward, they will not be allowed to return south of the Litani River until security for the residents of the north is ensured. The principle is clear. Where there is terror, where there are missiles, there will be no homes, there'll be no residents, and the IDF will be inside of Lebanon. Defense Minister Israel Katz, he also suggests that Israel should even go further and then just making these statements and just move the border of Israel into Lebanon up to the Litani River. And what would that look like? I wanted to give you this screenshot here where you'll see the current blue line of Israel and the Litani River with those bridges that we referred to. This is now the security zone. The residents here have been moved, evacuated to the north. As we said, they will not return until the safety of the Kiryat Shimona, of Metula, of Haifa, of all of these northern cities, until their safety can be assured, there will be no one moving back. And then he goes on, like I said, to say, let's just make this the northern border of Israel. And so that's our report at this particular time. I do have this, I shared this also last week. When we think of Passover, this sign in Jerusalem captured my attention. In the Hebrew, it reads simply, Father, Abba, Father, protect us. Again, a billboard on an overpass downtown Jerusalem asking God to keep his hand of protection on Israel. And so please remember, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for protection, especially of our friends in Israel, and pray for the innocents in Iran. Let's just pray that this war ends soon. That's our report for this week. God bless you and shalom.